elevator is a silvered vertical blade. Ricardo adjusts the sill, checking the shade of the man in the glass before the door slides. He enters the room where the perfumes collide with a sharp metallic anxiety in the air. A high-definition hum, a polished despair. The smiles are all calibrated, rhythmic and thin, stretched over the places where the fractures begin. He feels the back slaps, heavy and slow, like a manual inspection of the status below, searching for the soft spot, the unarmored skin, in the corporate theater where the sharks always win. He signed the paper at the velvet rope gate, a lead-colored promise to the gods of the state. The dotted line is a horizon of bone, the most expensive version of being alone. Burn the reputation just to fuel the machine, another exhibit in the freak show routine. Step up to the podium, join the parade, count the interest on every betrayal you made. It's a museum of parts, disposable and cold, where the silence of the heart is the story that's told. If you don't wear the mask, if you won't play the part, they'll erase the coordinates of your beating heart. The crystal is clinking, a symphony of ice, while the colleagues are rolling the loaded up dice. Every promotion is a scorched earth trade, a debt to the shadow that the industry made. He watches the hyenas in their custom fit suits, harvesting the salt from the bitterness of roots. Ricardo is a gear that refused to engage, a typo in the middle of a starched white page. He feels the psychological weight of the game, the systematic effort to extinguish his name. Then the director leaned in with a needle-sharp grin, letting a cruel-hearted dialogue begin. A joke about the broken, a punchline of spite. The room erupted in a Hearst kind of light, but Ricardo stayed silent, a statue of stone, the only honest pulse that the room had ever known. No laughter to offer, no pretense to lend. The silence was the hammer that signaled the end. It was his sentence, his verdict is out. The end of the whisper, the death of the shout. Step up to the podium, join the parade, count the interest on every betrayal you made. It's a museum of hearts, disposable and cold, where the silence of the heart is the story that's told. If you don't wear the mask, if you won't play the part, they'll erase the coordinates of your beating heart. He walked out the door without a good night, leaving the carnival in the artificial light. The avenue is a desert of asphalt and gray, washing the soot of the circus away. He unloosened the tie, he unhooked the latch, the only survivor of a one-sided match. If you won't wear the mask, you cease to exist. A ghost in the fog, a name in the mist, unmatched, erased. The silence is home. The silence is home. Phosphorus glow is a surgical lamp, bleaching the marrow in the midnight damp. A 3 a.m. fever of icons and spit, where my exhaustion is perfectly backlit. I'm watching the stream of distilled vitriol, choreographed lives on a glass back scroll. It's a ticket to a theater I never asked to find, projecting its static through the back of my mind. They tell me to unbutton the skin at the wrist, to bleed for a public that doesn't exist. Expose every fracture, let the secret be heard. Trade the integrity for a trend-setting word. Betray the essence for a handful of clicks. Another ghost doing digital tricks. In the market of the flayed, the loudest scar gets paid, and pain is the currency for the monsters we've made. I'm hiding my fury under a cynical glaze, dodging the hooks of the analytical gaze, because the agony is a product, the grief is a hook in the high-definition pages of a ledger book. I check the mirror for the man who didn't sign the lease, but the reflection is a ghost, fading piece by piece. I'm getting Polito, a transparency of grit, wondering where the human and the data points split. Indifference is armor, a cold and heavy gauge skin, to keep the opinions from crawling right in. I refuse to be gutted for the sake of the view, to be the raw meat they're currently chewing through. Sitting in the vacuum of a windowless room, I'm a thumb on a glass in the center of the gloom. One by one I snap the digital chords, killing the choir and the paper-thin lords, deleting the history, clearing the space, scrubbing the algorithm off the map of my face. But the air is saturated, the ceiling is tight, holding the heat of a billion watts. public square is a lung made of concrete and spit, a modern coliseum where the foundation split. I watch the enactment of a choreographed hate, crowds holding stones at the perimeter gate. They cry out for justice, a starched collar word, the loudest deception the city ever heard. It's not a social contract, it's a stage made of bone, where the mob finds its rhythm in the throwing of the stone. Every Jekyll in a suit hides a hide in the dark, feeding the shadows and shielding the spark. They prefer the disguises, the velvet and lace, to the surgical cold of a naked space. Truth is an intruder, a nuisance, a debt, a biological burden they haven't quite met. So I'll sit on this bench while the circus goes by, a sovereign exile under a windowless sky. I'm breaking the gears with the weight of my no, watching the embers of the theater glow. It's a sterile kind of peace, a mineral breath, the slowest version of a voluntary death. I'm retired from the game, I've unhooked the latch, watching the arson without striking a match. The spectacle is hungry, it demands a routine of victims and hangmen to grease the machine. I've mastered the art of the conscious delay, washing the curves and the record away. Cruelty is the currency shared in the palm, a frantic vibration disguised as a calm. If I cannot unmake the wheel or the rail, I'll be the stationary ghost beyond the reach of the pale. The truth is an arson no one else seems to see, burning the flags and the whole biography. I see the smoke rising from the steeples and stalls, while they're busy painting the cemetery walls. Inertia is the weapon, silence is the shield, the only territory I refuse to yield. Let the mask stay tight, let the play act continue. I've extracted the pulse from the spiritual sinew. Unparticipating, alone in the square, breathing the soul to the vacant air. The fire is growing, the crowd is still blind. the circus, alone in the square, breathing the salt of the vacant air. The fire is growing, the crowd is still blind. I'm leaving the human agreement behind. The air's a friction of burnt sugar and petroleum dregs, leaking from the joints of the ironclad legs. At the target range, where the lead hits the bone, the neon has a seizure, a stroboscopic groan, revealing the pain on the faces of the lost, counting the silver and the biological cost. Everything is terminal, a high-definition decay, waiting for the mechanical heart to just wither away. Step right up for the prize, for the puncture and the ache, underneath the canvas that the heavy winds break. It's a horror show rhythm in a rhythmical love, polishing the trophies in the back of the skull. The horizon is a bruise, a toxic shade of plum, waiting for the gears of the city to go numb. Canned laughter is a ghost in the rafters of the dark, chasing the residue of a long extinguished spark. The humidity is an intruder, a swamp water thief, crawling through the eyelets for a liquid relief. I'm tracing the shadows on the torn up seams, the industrial byproduct of 1,000 fever dreams. The generators are coughing a desperate metal lung, singing the anthem that the silence has always sung. Then the pistons surrender, the vibration stops dead, leaving the inventory of the things never said. The picadillo is a vacuum, a circle of grit, where the light and the gravity finally split. No more theater, no more trade, just the mineral silence in the center of the shade. Step right up for the prize of the puncture and the ache, underneath the canvas that the heavy winds break. It's a horror show rhythm in a rhythmic cold love, polishing the trophies in the back of the skull. The horizon is a bruise, a toxic shade of plum, waiting for the gears of the city to go numb. The debris is a mountain beneath the wooden tier, the only trace of the people who used to be here. Broken glass, candy sticks, the clock is a hammer and the rhythm is a click. the purple dusk, the diesel breath, a solo rehearsal for a voluntary death. The brass latch is a period at the end of a long-term life, checking the tumblers under starched and heavy sky. Elias signed the ledger, but the ink was made of lead, turning a living man into the inventory of the dead. The circus isn't canvas, it isn't sawdust or rain. It's the network of the whispers and the leaks that start to sting. I'm a line item on a page of calculated debt, waiting for the collection that I haven't paid for yet. Shadows on the curtains, figures without a name, moving through the hallway like a predatory flame. Hide the furia, hide the saw, I whisper to the wall, counting down the seconds of the slow motion fall. But the truth is in the marrow, the truth is in the chest. I've been eviscerated long before the arrival of the guest. Let the spectacle begin. I'm unmaking the theater and the architecture of sin. They came to watch the execution, the surgical and cold, but I'm rewriting the ending that the blackmailer sold. Tonight the coffin and the circus are burning in the street, leaving only the terminal clarity and the industrial heat. Fire is the only honest thing left to know. Let the whole damn circus go. I felt the first incision a decade wide away, when the secrets became a weight that the lungs couldn't weigh. By the time they reached the porch, I was already hollow ground, a vacant lot identity where no pulse could be found. The suspense is a fiction for the people in the light, but I'm the one who mastered the geography of night. I'm not a victim in a corner or a target on a board. I'm the master of the arson that the system can't afford. The footsteps stop, the silence is ablaze. The interest is too high on every promise that I made. I feel the metal cold against the geography of my hand. The only solid logic in this God-forsaken land. No terror in the throat, no stutter in the breath, just the surgical precision of a voluntary death. One scratch across the sulfur, one spark to set the tone. I'm reclaiming the ashes to call them my own. Let the spectacle begin. I'm unmaking the theater and the architecture of sin. They came to watch the execution, the surgical and cold, but I'm rewriting the ending that the blackmailers sold. Tonight the coffin in the circus, a burning in the street, leaving only the terminal clarity in the industrial heat. The fire is the only honest thing left to know. Let the whole damn circus go. Inventory of smoke, inventory of ash, finding the sovereign rhythm in the center of the crash. Hide the rage